Hey everyone, Eric in the garden. I hope you enjoyed the pictures we just showed you. That was from yesterday in our Rose Society function at my house. I belong to the Eastern North Carolina Rose Society out of New Bern, North Carolina. The point of the video today is to talk about local societies, why you should join them, and then we're going to give you another tour of the garden because it's 90 degrees today. So the roses are really opening. So you saw those pictures. We had a nice function at the house yesterday, and that's the whole point of a local society, getting together and socializing and talking about roses. We talked about black spot and thrips, what grows well in our area, challenges we faced, things we've overcome, our favorite roses, and just general socialization. No matter where you are, you probably have a local society near you, or you can always join the American Rose Society, and that's kind of overall for the country itself. But by joining a local society, again, you can meet other folks, and it's really good to learn what works in your area. I've shown you a lot of roses in my garden that may or may not work in your area, but by joining a local society, you'll hear about all the tips and tricks. So really encourage you to do so. I can put you in touch if you need any help with that. So when it's 90 degrees, the roses really blow open or open really quickly. So we're going to show you these rose by rose. This first one is Randy Scott. This is an exhibition style rose. I've mentioned that before, and what I mean by that is perhaps not as commercially available, not always, but some of these are a little harder to get. But what they have is very good vase life usually, and they take a while to open, and they have this pinpoint center. So this is a white with a slight hint of yellow. Very nice rose. Again, most of the hybrid teas I grow, I've got 40 hybrid teas. They are for rose shows, and I'm looking for those centers. And Randy Scott is definitely one of the top roses for exhibition. Really nice one. A little harder to get. As promised, I'll try to put all the links below in the video where you can get a lot of these roses. This one here is Veterans Honor, really nice red rose. I won't go on this too long because you've seen this in prior videos. Really nice. You can see they're slanting a little bit late in the day. That's because of the sun angle. We're getting a little afternoon shade, but usually some nice type of form on the rose themselves, and they're looking pretty good in the garden itself. Really nice red rose here across Eastern North Carolina that grows well. Another one that looks pretty good is Sunny Sundays. This is into the shade now, so you can see the coloring a little bit better. This is an exhibition style rose. It's actually bred by the same person that did Randy Scott. He has a couple of roses in the garden. That is John Smith had hybridized this. So this is Sunny Sundays. You can see it's a nice yellow red blend. Very good coloring on this rose. It's a little slower grower in the garden when you compare it to the other ones, but the only reason why that is I just planted it last year. So I don't mean it's a slow grower overall, just don't be deceived seeing it smaller. The ones behind it are 4-year-old bushes. This is Crescendo. I also won't spend a ton of time on this because I've shown you these blooms before, but really nice form. It does have a light fragrance as well. One of the parents was Gemini, so you can kind of see that in the coloring and the glossy leaves. The only downside to this rose, a lot of hybrid teas that are grown for exhibition aren't the most disease resistant. And this one I've had a little trouble with black spot, and this is with spraying. So just kind of a heads up on this one. Everything is equal in the garden in terms of spraying and fertilization. And you can see, compared to Veterans Honor with no black spot, Crescendo gets a little black spot. As we almost finish off bed 1, this is Hot Princess. This is a florist rose. What that is a rose that's traditionally grown for florist shops. A lot of those florist, growing locations are in Ecuador, and they're in a greenhouse. They're in, controlled environments. So typically, these roses don't have the best disease resistance, but they have really nice form and long stems and long vase life. So Hot Princess is a very nice rose. And I'll try to let you know what is easiest to get commercially available as I finish each bed. Gemini, again, I won't spend a ton of time on. You all know that's one of my favorite roses. Look at that. just outstanding form. You can see the leaves look really good on it, and just a really nice one. It throws a lot of sprays, so you get these multiple blooms, and if you disbud, you can get a single variety as well. So as we wrap up this bed, of all of those, the easiest ones to purchase online are certainly Veterans Honor, Gemini, and Crescendo. You can pretty much get those at any of your favorite mail order nurseries. The other ones are more specialty roses like Randy Scott and Hot Princess. You can get those, but you might just have to do a little more searching as well. So you can see the butterflies like the roses as well. So on this second bed, this is Marlin's Day. This is Sport of Moonstone. So it looks, very similar to Moonstone, the leather type of leaves. It's a really nice pink and white blend. It's got a little more pink in it than Moonstone. Moonstone is classified as a white with a little bit of pink. And look at that. This is probably one of my better growing roses here in Eastern North Carolina. And it's a Sport of Moonstone, and Moonstone is overall a pretty good growing rose. So that is Marlin's Day. Jewel Grace, a nice red and white and yellow blend. Almost looks like a double delight with that yellow coloring. Really, really nice bloom. Grows well in the garden. This happens to be on Multiflora, and this is a real nice one. It's one of my favorite roses, to be honest, because of the coloring. It's just quite striking, and hopefully you can see that yellow reverse on the inside. So that is Jewel Grace. Over here we have two interesting ones. These are, one is a sport of the other. On the right, Let Freedom Ring, pretty easy to get commercially. It's probably up there in terms of top red roses. It doesn't have a fragrance, but in terms of a red rose that lasts and doesn't get damaged because of dew or rain, it's right up there with Let Freedom Ring, or with Veterans Honor. Let Freedom Ring, this one, was hybridized by a World War II veteran. Up in the Northern Virginia area. Very, very nice. The Sport, a color Sport, is a different color, but same, type of bush. That's red. Let Freedom Ring, the original. And then the Sport is Zach Noble's, a nice orange blend. So you can kind of see the same spiral, shape to the bloom. Everything's the same about it, except it's a genetic mutation found by Satish. He was down in South Carolina at the time, and now is Rabu, he is in North Carolina, but nonetheless, the original Let Freedom Ring on the right, the Sport Zach Noble's on the left. As we round out this bed, these are my two original beds, so they are the most prolific roses because they've been here 4 years. This is a Fern, an older rose, huge pink blooms. It's hard to beat a Fern in terms of number of petals and just a big bloom. The issue I have here is if it's really wet or thrips, can kind of make the petals lose their substance. So you can kind of see some of the thrip markings in there, but if I can keep it clean, i.e. dry and away from thrips, it's got a pretty nice bloom on it. Certainly a prolific bloomer. It's a light pink and it grows very, very well. Rounding out the bed is Crystalline. This is a florist, or has been used as a florist rose in the trade like Hot Princess. It's an older rose, it's a white. It does open kind of quick, but then it maintains that nice open shape. So what I mean by that is it goes from maybe having a center, maybe something like this, then it will open pretty quickly to an open bloom, but the petals don't fall off like it might with a fragrant cloud. So very, very nice. It has a light scent to it. This has been used in a lot of hybridization through the years because it has really good genes. So that garden, Let Freedom Ring, is pretty easy to get commercially. The others a little harder. Crystallines and Affirms and Marlin's Day and Zach Noble's, but some specialty sites I'll link below. You can certainly get that. We'll kind of quickly go through here because I've actually got to head out to function at church, so I want to wrap these things up. This is our newest garden, so that's why it's not nearly as tall as these. Not as much to show you on these because they're newer. Maverick, this was planted as a maiden rose last year. 2 years ago, this was planted, Louise Estes, as a maiden rose. So you can tell, I've done a video on these before. They're budded roses. you plant them, they end up small in the beginning because you're just growing a budded plant, and it'll, first year it'll take some time, and then the second and third year it becomes established, and it's quite a healthy bush usually. I get those from Steve Singer at Wisconsin Roses. So this is Louise Estes, a nice pink and white rose. As far as exhibition goes, sometimes it has a confused center and it's not as pinpoint. That's why it doesn't always do the best as an exhibition rose, but nonetheless a big one and very beautiful. An older exhibition rose is Signature. It's a brighter pink, you know, different than a Firm that's a light pink. This is more an electric pink. This was, you know, a pretty good exhibition rose in its day. You can see the reason why there. Try to focus that. This sun is so harsh. This is not showing up as much as it does to my naked eye. Signature, Louise Estes, Maverick. These are roses that are, again, of exhibition form, a little bit harder to find than something like a Gemini or Veteran's Honor. This is the only Floribunda that I have in my garden. This is Sheila's Perfume, a light fragrance. Floribundas tend to be smaller blooms and bloom in clusters. I won this at a rose show, or rose convention, so that's why I have this. Eddie Edwards, a pink blend, and then Cajun Moon on the right was actually kind of a sister plant to Moonstone, but Moonstone became the more popular variety and is more commercially available. So all of these can be found online, just a little harder. And then, of course, this side of the garden as well. So I think what we're going to do here today is I'm going to break this up into two because this video has already gotten over 10 minutes. So those are the first 3 gardens I'll show you. These 2 were planted in 2017. That's why they're very big. And this one here was just planted, I think, a year and a half ago. So tomorrow, or the next video we post, we will go through the rest of the rose garden, including roses such as Pope John Paul II. We'll certainly talk about Mr. Caleb. That's the red right there. We'll talk about Claire Elise. There's another Louise Estes. And I certainly want to show you Folklore, which I've shown in the last couple days, this beautiful orange, and the Sport, which is European Touch. So we will post that in the coming days. We'll call this part 1 of the rose tour. The reason why I'm doing so many is because it's hot and everything's opening up quick. So look back for that. As always, I appreciate the comments, and we will see you soon. Take care, everyone.